Hi universe, my name is not important, but my experience with the FA, that's London FA and the Hearts FA, and a local football club is something that I think is in your best interest, especially if you've been battling against discrimination within sports or any kind of verbal racial abuse. After listening to my experience, you might understand why you've historically had a case that was unsuccessful, and you know within your heart there was something to it. Someone who just this last weekend is potentially going to go through this experience, and the FA might not do anything about it. After listening to my experience, you're going to understand why. And those of you next weekend who might experience something, also, if nothing happens with the FA, you will understand why. So I'm sharing this with you for a number of reasons. One, because I believe it's in the public's best interest. And two, is for selfish reasons, really. Obviously, I've been carrying this around with me like a brick since last September 2023. And at moments, it has affected my mental health and personality. And it's time for me to just release it to the universe, and you guys can do with it whatever you wish. But I would suggest that you pass this on to any family members or friends that may have experienced, or just a heads up on how the FA deal with verbal racial abuse and discrimination. This case evolves around Hearts FA, the FA, and a local semi-professional football club. I was a first team manager of this football club, and there's a white player, I won't say his name or his age, who directed two racial comments, one towards me and one towards a black kid who was 16 years of age. The first comment that was aimed towards a black kid was heard by two of my management team. Now, these two guys are two of the bravest guys I've met in my adult life. Reason being, they were white. And being someone of colour, for two white people to come forwards and hear something that made them feel uncomfortable is really powerful. So in the course of these 2 weeks or week after the second comment that was aimed towards me, I notified certain members of the club, a high person in the committee. Let's call this person Mr. X. And Mr. X instantly made excuses for the player, backed the player 100%. In the process of communications, showed, along with two other members of the committee, discrimination, so I had to leave. On the back of me leaving, my management team left. They owe me no loyalty whatsoever. They left because of their high values and the behavioural patterns of the club, which were discrimination. On the back of that, black players left. Don't have to explain why. A few white players left. Again, hats off. They showed me no loyalty too. They're loyal to football more than loyal to me. But again, they showed high values, that it was unacceptable, and showed zero tolerance to discrimination, which is the reason why they left. Also, another high standing member of the club who was there for 30 years left. Not because I left, because the club, Mr. X, and his support network showed discrimination, and this person's values were so high that he had to leave and could no longer represent a club who shows discrimination. So I left the club, just carried on with my life pretty much. And then one day I received the following email, which I ignored. And I ignored it because, certain members of community where I'm from and my peers, we all know that the FA are not organisation to rely on when it comes to these kind of things. So you automatically just already know what the end product's going to be, so what's the point of putting yourself through it? But what they done, they sent me another email after this one, reminding me of a deadline. So I thought, do you know what? Okay, let's see where this goes. Let's see where this yellow brick road goes, because after everything that I've heard, all the stories that I've heard with other people, they might have changed, or they might be going through things differently. So let's see. Right. So the FA send out messages such as kick out an FA launch grassroots action plan to tackle discrimination. This was also sent out by the FA. It's called Enough is Enough. And it says, we are taking a zero tolerance approach to discrimination in football. Remember these words. We are taking a zero tolerance approach to discrimination in football. Okay, so on the 26th of September 2023, I received this from the FA. We have received a report regarding 2 allegations of discrimination regarding comments made by a player whilst I was managing the club. Right. He understands that I've left the club, so he's contacted me directly. He also understands here on line 3 that my management team have also left the club, and he requires our statement in order to look into what was said or the situation that led to them sending me this email. So I replied to the FA. I sent them 5 statements, 5. 3 for the racial abuse from the player and 5 for discrimination from the club. Now, they weren't interested in the club at all. These people who are governing bodies of the game wanted nothing to do with me putting forward anything to the club about discrimination. They wouldn't even investigate it, even though they claim that they have a zero tolerance to discrimination. Okay, what is discrimination? What does this mean? Discrimination means treating someone less favourably than someone else because of age, disability, gender, marriage, pregnancy, race, religion, sex orientation. Right. So this is all about race and racial discrimination in this experience. So this is what we're going to focus on. This is called protected characteristics. Less favourable treatment can be anything that puts someone with a protective characteristic at a disadvantage compared to someone who does not have that characteristic. Now, what they're saying here is there's no legal definition to putting somebody at a disadvantage, but it may include causing someone emotional distress, which is why we're here to talk about my situation and the fact that it has caused distress and moments of poor mental health. Okay, now let's go on to public order offences. Verbal racial abuse. These offences, contrary to the Public Order Act 1986, relate to threatening, abusive or insulting words or behaviour or display of visible representation which are likely to cause fear or to provoke immediate violence, intentionally cause harassment, alarm or distress, are likely to cause harassment, alarm or distress, threatening or abusive words or behaviour only. Okay, so we've established that racial discrimination and verbal racial abuse are 2 different things. So we've established that the difference between verbal racial abuse and discrimination. Verbal racial abuse is when you verbally abuse somebody, racially, obviously, and discrimination is how you treat somebody. That's treating somebody different to people within your specific characteristic. The FA have combined the 2, which is absolutely insane. So what this is telling you, one of two things. One, they don't know what they're doing and they're totally inept and unskilled in this matter. Or two, it gives them grey areas to just dismiss cases because they combine the two, and whatever, depending on how they feel and what case they're hearing, they can throw it out for the confusion between being verbally racially abused and discrimination. They're two different things. Okay, after sending them the statements that they required, I received the following email from the Hearts FA on the 26th of October 2023. Following an assessment of the evidence provided from all parties and having presented the case to at the London FA, I'm writing to confirm that on this occasion we do not have sufficient evidence that the alleged comments made meet the relevant threshold to raise a charge. Okay, there's two things in this. Meet the relevant threshold and presented the case. Sorry. So there is a threshold. So what I did, I sent an email to the FA asking them, what is the threshold? I need to know this. What can someone say to me that's racist, that is underneath your threshold, so that I can tell the community? When I say racist, I'm not only talking about black people, I'm talking about all kinds of people. What can they say that is underneath your threshold, so I can let the universe know, so we know whether we're wasting our time or not when we're verbally, racially abused? So here I ask them the simple question of, okay, if the case was not successful, then please give me written reasons why it wasn't successful, and please give me a reference number that I can refer to. Okay, I don't want to bore you with too many email exchanges between me and the FA, but I did receive this on the 31st of October 2023. It says, there is no case number attributed as a charge was not raised. And also it refers to having a meeting with the FA and kicking it out, because this is what I requested, to try and educate them on the difference between discrimination and verbal racial abuse. Okay, so the case was unsuccessful. Then I asked for a case reference number, and they come back and say that there was no case reference number attributed to this situation because charges weren't brought forwards. So if that is the case, intensive investigation was done to a case that didn't exist, and a case was unsuccessful as per the email that they sent to me. The case was unsuccessful based on a case that didn't exist because it doesn't have a case number. So if it doesn't have a case number, how do you refer to the case? Listen, this has been on me since I've received this email. I cannot make it make sense. So if anyone can make it make sense, please make it make sense. And this shows the total inept attitude of the FA to start talking in riddles. I mean, this is not a cartoon. This is real people's life. I mean, it affects people's mental health. And I'd just like to say that people that do throw around words that affect other people, not just black, with your part of the LGBT community, whether you're disabled or whatever it may be, people throw around these words. Man, your words affect people deeply, and it does affect people's mental health and people's well-being. So it may be flippant to you, but it actually affects people. And the FA, their conduct in that email alone shows you that, look, there's people working in the FA who should not be working in the department that they're working in, because they've got unskilled, uneducated, inept people working in a department that affects people's lives.
This is quite interesting. I'm not going to go into the club too much at this stage. It might be something that I touch base on later on. But an important member of the club's committee sent this to a third party. We're going to call this important member Mr. X. So he sent this. Morning, ... I had this from the Hearts FA yesterday, but you may be aware anyway. And this is dated the 28th of October. So he received this on the 27th of October. Following an extensive investigation, the Hearts FA have liaised with the FA, London FA, and have concluded that there is insufficient evidence to proceed or raise any charges for the allegations that have been put forward. On the 10th of November 2023, the Hearts FA and this subject sent an email. This subject, investigation into alleged comments made at the football club. What they're doing, they're requesting information or statement from the player that one of the comments that were aimed towards, they're requesting a statement from on the 10th of November.
So, what we're saying is on the 20th of October, they sent an email saying that they done an extensive investigation. But yet, and by the way, so the case was closed. Or sorry, no case, whatever. The situation was closed. Then on the 10th of November, they send an email to the player that one of the racial abuse was aimed at, asking for a statement. All right. Make this make sense. So they've closed a case or closed the situation, and then 2 weeks after asked for a statement. I'll tell you what that's like. That's like a mugging, right? And which is traumatic. That's like a mugging. The police arrest the mugger. That mugger goes to court. He gets thrown out of court. And then 2 weeks later, they decide to interview the person that got mugged. I mean, please make it make sense. How is that a thorough, no, that's not the word, an intensive investigation? You've not even asked one of the victims until after you decide there wasn't a case. I mean, this is just the beginning. There's more to come.
Okay, so going back a few days, this is from the Hearts FA on the 30th of October. So basically what they're saying is, because there was no charge, they're willing to have a meeting with me via Teams. And that's with Kick It Out and a member from the Hearts FA. Okay, so on the 1st of November 2023, after consideration, I decline for the moment the meeting via Teams until I receive the information from the data subject access request. Because what they're supposed to do is send me all the information that relates to me. So all the emails and texts and anything that relates to me is my personal data. They're supposed to give that to me. And I wanted that before I had the meeting. So if I needed to bring anything else up, I could.
So I issued the FA with two new bits of evidence. One was a statement from the young black player's father, and the second one was content or context to what the player said, and it's in the form of a video. So now this video is done by actors, so please, if you see any of these people walking down the street, they're probably not racist, so just leave them alone. It's ironically comes from the Football Factory, which was made in 2002 or 2004. This was deemed racist back then. We're now in 2024. Now, The words used, the player did not use the words that are in this next clip, but the words used mean exactly the same thing. And I'm saying this again. The player did not use the words that you're going to hear in the following clip, but the words that were used meant exactly the same thing, which breaks one of the FA's rules. The next clip you might find offensive, so please brace yourself.
There was a time, right, I used to be able to clear 750, 800 shots a week doing this. Not anymore. Nah. Now what you got is your fucking spades up in Soho moonlighting. Moonlighting. Fuck's sake, that's a joke. You need a full moon just to see them. This country was built on good people.
So, this is FA Rule E3.1. Most of you probably didn't even know it existed or where it was or never seen it. I wasn't aware of it until this whole situation. It says, a breach of Rule E3.1 is considered misconduct. Acts of discrimination are considered to be amongst the most serious types of misconduct which a participant can commit. For this reason, any act of discrimination is considered to be an aggravated breach of E3.1, meaning it includes a reference, whether expressed or implied, to any one or more of the following: ethnic origin, and in this case, colour, race. But this affects everybody, whether you're a woman, your sexual orientation, LGBT community. Discrimination is discrimination, whether you got disability, wherever it may be. On the 19th of November 2023, I received this from the Hearts FA. So basically, they had a meeting with the FA on Monday to discuss my emails and previous email exchanges referring to the comments that were made, the 2 comments that were made. On the 20th of November 2023, I received this from the Hearts FA, that the FA, the London FA, have reviewed the correspondence, i.e. all the emails and the new evidence that I produced, and advised the Hertfordshire FA to charge a player under breach of Rule E3.2. It also says here that blah, 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 and Kick It Out will meet me face to face to discuss any current concerns that I may have.
Right. Now we're going to move on to Mr. X and the club. Now, look, I'm not going to go into this in great detail. As I've previously said, this is something that I may go into detail at a later date, just to show you the levels of discrimination that happened at the club. But this was sent by Mr. X and was backed by certain members of the committee.
Okay, what he's saying here is that foreign unfounded accusations around is a coward response. He hopes that I'm happy with myself. Unfounded. Well, the player got charged, quite rightly, so I'm not too sure what he means by that. Mr. X then goes on to say he's going to be taking legal advice on these allegations and the harmful damage that it has done to their club that serves the community. As of this moment in time, he has not received an apology from me, the victim, or one of the victims, and my management team.
So, Mr. X and certain committee members portray the club to be a community-driven club. Not one person from that club has contacted the black 16-year-old player who was racially abused by one of their members to ask him if he's okay, how he's doing, apologise, or just say sorry that the whole situation ended this way. We now know what part of the community Mr. X and certain members of the senior setup serve. Mr. X, accompanied by certain members of the senior setup and the committee, have been spreading the word that I'm the problem for bringing this up. I'm being overreacting, or I'm the issue. This is called victim blaming. Let's break down what victim blaming actually means.
Okay, as previously said, I don't want to go into the club too much, but we have to nail down exactly what Mr. X is doing and his behavioural patterns. What is the root of victim blaming? Victim blaming can also stem from a lack of empathy for others. People who lack empathy are often extremely critical of others. They usually dislike coping with emotional situations and don't think about other people's experiences or perspectives when interpreting situations. Here's some more about victim blaming. Is victim blaming gaslighting? Victim blaming is a form of gaslighting. It occurs when the victim of a crime, violence, or harassment is blamed or made to feel responsible for their action. We are still on this victim blaming topic because you might know somebody who has these traits. What personality disorder blames others? People with narcissistic personality disorder are extremely resistant to change their behavior, even when it causes them problems. Their tendency is to turn the blame onto others. Sorry, we're boring you with this topic. I think I've got a few more slides. Is blaming others a narcissist? Blaming others is a classic trait of narcissists. They do not and will not take emotional responsibility for their words or their actions. It is said they don't take emotional responsibility for their words or their actions because they're incapable of self-reflection. Yeah, this is interesting. Do narcissists have friends? Friendships require genuine care and concern for another person. A narcissist isn't likely to actually care or be sufficiently concerned about anyone outside of themselves. They are only friends with people who they want to keep around as pawns or for some other objectifying purpose. Now, look, I'm getting all these from Google. I mean, you can research this yourself, but you might encounter people like this, and they're not really nice people to keep close. And finally, what are the symptoms of a narcissistic personality disorder? Sense of self-importance, preoccupation with power, beauty, or success, entitlement, can only be around people who are important or special, interpersonally exploit for their own gain, arrogant, lack of empathy, must be admired. Sorry about the pivot regarding victim blaming. I think it's just a subject that needs to be covered because I don't think a lot of people actually take this into consideration. But now we're going back to the experience from the FA. I've received this email on the 20th of November 2023, and this is from somebody of colour in the FA, pretty much saying that he's arranging a face-to-face meeting, which I've been asking for, with a representative of Kick It Out. But at the bottom here, he says, please note that the Hertfordshire FA will not be attending. Now look, my problem is I've been asking for a face-to-face meeting with the Hertfordshire FA, as did the local FA to the club and to this whole situation. But yet they've swerved it and pushed it onto the FA to have a face-to-face meeting and not even attend a discrimination case, as they put it, that affects their county. So my response on the 20th of November to the FA's proposal of sitting down and having a talk with me with a Kick It Out was this. I've been chasing the Hearts FA for a face-to-face meeting for 2 weeks, which they have swerved. Now they want me to have a meeting with you two guys without them. Think about the psychology behind that. The Hearts FA won't sit in a room with a black man to talk about discrimination or racial abuse. So they arrange for me to sit down with two faces of colour to talk about racial discrimination. So what basically I'm saying is they make the decisions, but they've chosen two faces of colour to appease that decision.
Okay, it's a quick pivot, I think is the right word. We're going to talk about Kick It Out. I don't want to keep you too long, but I think it's important to this story that you understand what Kick It Out are about as an organisation.
Okay, my opinion of Kick It Out is my opinion alone. This is the experience that I've experienced with these guys. And for me, they're quite useless. So, as previously stated, they're a charity that is funded by the PFA, the Premier League, and the FA. Which means if they go against any of these three organisations, these organisations can cut their funding, now no longer exist. So let me ask you this. How independent are these guys? Here you go. This is really interesting. And this was Saturday, the 29th of July 2023. This was released. Mental health support in grassroots football is under-resourced from players who face racism. This is just a follow-on from the same feed that was released by Sky News. And it says, it comes as a new report from anti-discrimination charity Kick It Out showed incidents of racial discrimination reported to them in grassroots game has risen by a third since last season and almost double since the season 2019 to 2020. Now look, these are my views only from the experience that I've had with Kick It Out. Kick It Out were formed to eradicate discrimination and racial abuse from football, and it's actually gotten worse. And this is probably down to being funded by the governing bodies who are absolutely doing nothing to eradicate it. So what you got Kick It Out being a puppet or a smokescreen to make the public feel that something's being done and it isn't. Also, in this whole situation, not one member of Kick It Out have contacted me independently to ask me my feelings or my understanding, or even say to me, look, we understand what you're going through, let me explain this or explain that. What they've done, they've only been introduced to this situation on the back of the FA. So they're not here to support me. I've been playing football, semi-professional football, for over 25 years, and not once have I seen a representative of Kick It Out visit any club that I've been at, or even introduce herself to a club that I've been at. But they've got all these posters all over the place.
Kick It Out are a charity that's funded by the PFA, the Premier League, and the FA, which means they're a bit like clubbers, like nightclubbers. So they're nightclubbers who go to a nightclub but will only dance to certain DJs. So what's happened is the FA have been spinning their records and they've been on the dance floor, dancing and singing, having a good time. When it's come for me to do my set, they stop dancing.
Apologies, that was my last pivot. We'll stay back on course now. This is from the Hearts FA. Before receiving this email, the player appealed, and I questioned the Hearts FA just to make sure that they added the new evidence and not the original evidence. And they replied on the 4th of December saying all the statements which form the case pack of the original statements which were supplied as part of the original investigation. Okay, just to highlight once again the sheer incompetence of this organisation. So they want to use the original statements, but I received this on the 26th of October as previously gone through, and it says, I'm writing to confirm that on this occasion we do not have sufficient evidence. So what is that saying? Is that is now saying that they're going to use the evidence formed from the original investigation, which of course was not an investigation, which wasn't strong enough to charge the player in the first place. So on the 4th of December 2023, I reply to the Hearts FA that, look, this needs to change. I've supplied you with further evidence which encouraged you to charge a player, and can I add this to the evidence that you're putting forwards? Then I'll send another email later on that day saying this needs to be done properly and fairly, because that's all we want is justice. I need to adjust the statement slightly in line with the points that are raised which convince you to charge a player. Then, as part of the panel, I've requested that there is at least a member of the black community on the panel. I followed that up on the 5th of December with this email, and it says, so what you're saying is that the Hearts FA have a case against the player using evidence that the Hearts FA felt was not strong enough to charge a player in the first place. Can you please confirm that this is what you're saying? And then I'll put on here, so I need to think about this out loud. So basically what I'm doing here, I'm trying to encourage somebody who lacks skill, experience, education, and multiple other skill sets in order to be able to deal with this situation correctly. I'm trying to give them an opening to change their thought process. So I've said here, when producing a case against someone, you should provide the strongest case that you can and one that you believe in to win the case. But you are adopting to use evidence that you previously had thought was not good enough. This is what I am thinking, and I say this on the back of the FA's previous behavioural patterns. You are begrudgingly charging the player. If the player is found guilty, I could potentially make things worse for you guys, as I potentially have another case against you for not dealing with discrimination. I feel that you are manipulating this so that the player has more chance of getting off, which would then disconnect you from the case and any further complaints that I may have against you, the FA. Then I'll go on to say, look, it seems like at the moment you are taking a stance that will encourage the player to get away with 2 counts of racial abuse, 1 against me and 1 directed at another player. Judging by what you are saying, in the realms of probability, my thoughts above are likely to be true. I have been honest and transparent throughout this whole process, so I will help you once again. So, as a man of my word, I've tried to help the Hearts FA out by sending them this information. A prosecutor must not withhold evidence that may help the defence or even exonerate a defendant. Also state that, look, the way they're dealing with this whole situation is affecting my mental health. And they're only charging the player on the back of new evidence, which I have evidence of. So anyone that's not convinced on my last bit of help that I gave to the Hearts FA, let's do the English version. Is withholding evidence a crime in the UK? Perverting the course of justice and witness intimidation are serious offences that undermine the administration of justice by falsely accusing people or withholding crucial evidence. Okay. This says that they have broken UK law by withholding crucial evidence. Okay, universe. I mean, I'm trying my hardest to help these guys out, the FA, but obviously they think they know what they're doing. On the 7th of December 2023, I sent them this. If you proceed to withdraw evidence that will help the defendant, this will be illegal. If the player is not charged with both comments, again, this will help the defendant. The fact that you, the FA, are putting the case together without new evidence is worrying. So I received this as a response to my last email on the 7th of December from the Hearts FA. I mean, please, someone, make it make sense. The case has been charged off of the original evidence which was obtained by blah, blah, blah during the investigation process. There is no evidence being withheld. Please, I mean, are they purposely ignorant or just incompetent? And it goes to show you the complete lack of understanding, process, and professionalism that the Hearts FA and the FA are showing. Right, for one, again, I'm going to say this again. They're putting a case together based off the original evidence that they believed wasn't strong enough to charge a player in the first place. Now they're saying there is no evidence being withheld. So then, if that's the case, why didn't they charge a player off the original evidence in the first place? And why did they decide to charge the player after I produced more evidence? I mean, Okay, let's go back to this. What they sent to Mr. X. Following an extensive investigation, Hearts FA has liaised with the FA and have concluded there is insufficient evidence to proceed or raise any charges. I mean, someone help these guys out, please. So I applied to them on the 7th of December at near 8 o'clock at night. Sorry, I had to redact the two because the person's name come up. But it says, thank you for clarifying that you have no idea of behavioural patterns, conscious and subconscious racism, and the balance of probabilities. The second comment was fused by the first comment. It will be interesting to find out why you are only charging him with one of the two comments. Rule E3.1 states that even if you imply something that may be offensive, it's a rule break.
Okay, at this time, let me explain to you about behavioural patterns. Now, as human beings, as we're brought up and we go through life, we develop certain triggers and certain behavioural patterns to certain situations that are ingrained in us. They're like templates. It takes a lot to get these to change your behavioural patterns. So what I'm saying is, for example, let's use racism. Now, if someone's discreetly racist or has racial tendencies or racial thought processes, eventually they're going to slip up and say something that's questionable. Depending on how the situation is handled will dictate whether they feel comfortable enough to revisit that behavioural pattern. If they're challenged straight away, then quite often you're going to get confrontation, or the person might be an opportunity for the person to learn something new, or they're just going to be ignorant and stay to their beliefs. So behavioural patterns is a pattern of behaviour that generally repeats itself.
Okay, I've wasted enough of your life. I'm going to quickly run through these last ones. I sent an email on the 8th of December 2023 to the FA. I CC'd 6 people in it, and I just wanted them to confirm and tell me what the processes are for an extensive investigation. I just wanted them bullet pointed so that I know. Okay, I've sent an email to the 6 same people on the 13th of December 2023, and I hadn't received any of the information. From this date now being the 23rd of February 2024. I'm yet to receive the information requested in regards to what their intensive investigation is. Universe, we're almost there. It's the 2nd of January 2024. I sent the Hearts FA this email. I have a few questions just so I can understand the process properly. The personal hearing next week is because the FA have charged the player, so we are now your witnesses. I take it that we are your witnesses for the purpose of you getting a guilty verdict. Pretty much what I'm saying. Okay, I received this reply on the 3rd of January 2024 from the Hearts FA. As a charge has been raised, you are in attendance as a county witness. This is a witness who is in attendance to provide evidence to support the charge which has been raised. Okay. As this charge was raised and a personal hearing was requested, the county requests the attendance of witnesses who support the charge which has been raised. The county's role is to ensure that all the relevant evidence and witnesses supporting the charge are presented to the Commission for them to determine the outcome. Well, this is interesting. It says to ensure that all the relevant evidence. Well, you've withheld evidence, so you haven't got all the relevant evidence. I mean, I can confirm that these statements are within the pack which was provided to the panel prior to the hearing. So what they're doing, they're confirming that they actually withheld the evidence. Amateurs. So on the 8th of January 2024, the hearing is on the 9th of January. I contact the CFA serious cases. These are the people that line up the panel, and I asked them if they can tell me the ethnic makeup of the panel. So what I'm doing, I'm preempting what I know they're going to do, and it's years of discrimination and abuse, which has given me the skills to foresee certain things happening. So to cover all bases, I thought, you know what, let me send the same email to the Hearts FA, because they may give me an answer. It may not be the answer that I want. It may not be an answer that they even know what they're talking about, but it may be an answer nevertheless. On Tuesday, 9th of January 2024, the Hearts FA come back to me, which was quite surprising actually, but which is not surprising is they say to me, look, the FA serious case team pretty much picked the panel and they don't notify the Hearts FA what the makeup of the panel is going to be.
Let me quickly go through what a personal hearing is. So what happens is it's a bit like going to court, but virtual. Everything's done online. So you get put in a waiting room as a witness, and then when your time's up, you go into the courtroom and you see members of the panel who ask you questions, but they only ask you questions that they want to hear, but they won't let you reply properly, if that makes sense. I can't go into it. You had to be there to actually witness the absolute appalling process of a personal hearing.
So it's the 9th of January 2024. It's 10:15 at night. The hearing had just finished. And as you can see, I'm eager to send an email. I sent an email to the Hearts FA, and I'm asking them to explain why there wasn't at least one black person on the panel. And here we are, lo and behold, on the 10th of January, the Hearts FA come back to me and they say that we have been informed that the case was found not proven. Written reasons are being produced and will be circulated in due course. So I'm supposed to have 2 written reasons, and none of them I've received on the 23rd of February 2024. So I'm not too sure where these reasons have gone, but we knew as in I knew from the beginning the behavioural patterns of the FA that this will be unproven. It's unproven because there's weren't enough evidence. Weren't enough evidence because they withheld it. And not only that, they manipulated the whole case and the panel that it was more than likely that the player would get off. And this is why there will always be racism in football. Okay, we're almost done. Please bear with me. What is discrimination? Let's cover this again. Discrimination means treating somebody less favourably than someone else because of, and we're talking here about race. But it could mean all of this, but this particular instance is about race. Let's think about the word discrimination once more. The FA has admitted that there is a threshold to racism, although claiming there isn't. The FA didn't do a thorough investigation whilst claiming they did. The FA withheld evidence which helped the defence, which breaks UK law. The FA chose a panel with no one from the black community on it. The FA manipulated the whole case. All of the above to get a white player off of a racial abuse charge. Now I ask you, has the FA discriminated against me? Or are they inept at their job? Or both?
Okay, this was a great opportunity for the FA to behave in the correct way, or put things in place, or just be inept in what they're doing. Just be good at what you're doing, or not show discrimination traits. There's a great opportunity for them to teach a young player how to conduct themselves in social environment. But what they did by manipulating the case, withholding evidence, which is illegal, I'm going to say that again, by making it extremely easy for a player to get off of racial abuse, what they've done, they've empowered this player's mindset. So what this player, at some stage, this player may be a manager of a minority, a woman, part of the LGBT community, someone disabled, who, now that they believe that they were right and didn't do anything wrong, is going to repeat their behavioural patterns. Or you might just see this player in a few years in a stadium on TV doing this. And this is the last thing from me is, sorry that this has taken so long, but the process of me communicating with FA has been an extremely long, painful one. Hopefully you found this helpful. Those of you that it's affected or may affect in the future, please share this with as many people as possible, because it's good that everybody knows exactly what they're going into when they get into this process. And another thing is, those of you that may wish, like Mr. X, blame me for bringing this out in the public domain to the universe. Remember what we went through regarding victim blaming. I'm the victim here, like many thousands of people I'm sure are, and probably hundreds that just over this weekend that have suffered some kind of discrimination or been verbally, racially abused. We are all victims, and our voices do matter.